The war room of the Kara Empire was always cold. Princess Vel liked it that way. The cold helped her think clearly, and tonight she needed to think more than ever before. She stood alone in the dark room, watching the large screen on the wall. The screen showed a video that had been playing again and again for the past 3 hours. Vela had watched it so many times that she knew every second of it by heart. The video showed a human. Just one human. He moved through a Kara warship like water flowing through stones. Soldiers fired at him. Energy beams that could cut through metal flew past him. But they never touched him. He was too fast. Too precise. Too perfect. Vela watched as the human cut down 12 of her best soldiers in less than 10 seconds. His blade was not made of energy like Kara weapons. It was simple steel. Old-fashioned. Primitive. But in his hands, it was the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. The human wore black armor that covered his entire body. His helmet hid his face completely. No one knew what he looked like. No one knew where he came from. All anyone knew was his name. Te. The humans called him the Ghostblade. The Kora called him the Death Shadow. But his real name was Te, and he had killed more Kara soldiers than any army in history. Vela pressed a button and the video stopped. She turned away from the screen and walked to the window. Outside, the stars stretched across the black sky like scattered diamonds. Somewhere out there, Te was hiding, waiting, planning his next attack. The door behind her opened with a soft sound. Vela did not turn around. She knew who it was by the sound of his footsteps. "You called for me, Princess," said Admiral Kang. His voice was deep and tired. He was an old warrior with gray hair and scars on his face. He had served the Kara Empire for 50 years. "I did," Vela said. She still did not turn around. "Tell me about the human." Admiral Kang was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke slowly. "Which human, Princess?" "There are many. Do not play games with me, Admiral." Vela turned to face him. Her golden eyes were bright in the dark room. "You know which human I mean. The one they call Te, the Ghostblade." Admiral Kang looked down at the floor. "He's just a man, Princess. Nothing special. The stories about him are bigger than the truth." Vela laughed. It was not a happy laugh. "Just a man? I watched him destroy an entire warship by himself. I watched him kill 50 soldiers without getting a single scratch. Is that what you call just a man?" The Admiral said nothing. He knew the Princess was right. Vela walked closer to him. She was tall for a Kora female, almost as tall as the Admiral himself. Her silver hair fell down her back like a waterfall. Her skin was pale blue, like all Kora people. But her eyes were different. They were gold instead of purple. It was a rare thing among the Kora. Some said it meant she was blessed by the gods. Others said it meant something else entirely. 3 years ago, Vela said, there was no Ghostblade, no Te, no legend. The humans were weak and afraid. They were losing the war. We were winning. Then this man appeared out of nowhere, and everything changed. She walked to a table and pressed another button. A hologram appeared in the air. It showed a map of the galaxy with red and blue dots. The red dots were Kora territory. The blue dots were human territory. "Look at this," Vela said. 3 years ago, we controlled 70% of the neutral zone. Now we control less than 40%. One man did this. One human with a sword. Admiral Kang looked at the map. His face was hard to read. The humans have many soldiers, Princess. Many ships. It is not just one man. But one man gave them hope, Vela said. Before Te, the humans were ready to surrender. They had lost too many battles. Too many lives. Then the Ghostblade started his attacks, and suddenly they believed they could win. Hope is a dangerous weapon, Admiral, more dangerous than any ship or gun. She turned off the hologram and faced the Admiral directly. I want to capture him, alive. Admiral Kang's eyes went wide. Princess, that is impossible. Many have tried. All have failed. He's like smoke. You cannot hold smoke in your hands. Others failed because they did not understand him, Vila said. They thought he was just a soldier, a weapon, but he is more than that. He is a symbol, and symbols can be destroyed. She walked back to the window and looked at the stars again. When I was young, my father told me a story. He said that the humans were not always weak. Long ago, before the Korra found them, humans were warriors. They fought wars among themselves for thousands of years. They killed each other by the millions. They built weapons that could destroy entire planets. Admiral Kang nodded slowly. I have heard these stories. But the humans we know are not like that. They are soft, afraid. That is because we taught them to be afraid, Vela said. We came to their world with our ships and our technology. We showed them how small they were in the universe. We made them feel weak. And for a long time, they believed it. She turned to face the Admiral again. But Tay reminded them of what they used to be. He showed them that a single human can stand against the entire Korra Empire. He gave them back their fire, their strength, their will to fight. Vila's golden eyes seemed to glow in the darkness. That is why I must capture him. Not to kill him, to understand him, to learn what makes humans so dangerous when they choose to be. Admiral Kang was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke carefully. There have been rumors, Princess. Strange rumors about the Ghostblade. What kind of rumors? The Admiral looked uncomfortable. Some of our soldiers who survived his attacks. They say strange things. They say that when they looked into his eyes, they saw gold. Not blue like normal humans. Gold, like... He stopped talking. He did not need to finish. Viola touched her own face, near her eyes. Gold eyes, like hers. That is impossible, she said. But her voice was not as strong as before. I am only telling you what the soldiers say, Admiral Kang said quickly. It is probably nothing. Battle can make people see things that are not real. Vila nodded slowly. Yes, you are right. It is probably nothing. But deep inside, something had changed. A small seed of doubt had been planted in her mind. She could feel it growing, spreading through her thoughts like water through sand. Who was Tay really? Where did he come from? Why did he fight so hard against the Korra Empire? These questions had always been in her mind. But now there was a new question. A question she was afraid to ask. Why did he have golden eyes? Vila pushed the thought away. It was stupid. It meant nothing. Many species in the galaxy had golden eyes. It was just a coincidence. Prepare my fleet, she told the Admiral. We leave in 3 days. I will find the Ghostblade myself. Admiral Kang bowed his head. As you wish, Princess. But may I ask, why do you want to do this yourself? You are the heir to the throne. Your life is precious. Let me send others. Vila smiled. It was a cold smile. Because, Admiral, I am the only one who can catch him. I have studied him for 3 years. I know how he thinks, how he moves, how he fights. I know him better than anyone else in the Empire. She walked past the Admiral toward the door. And besides, I want to see his face. I want to look into his eyes and understand what makes a human willing to die for something bigger than himself. The door opened and Vila stepped out into the bright hallway. But just before the door closed, she heard Admiral Kang speak one more time. Be careful, Princess. Some truths are better left unknown. Vila did not answer. She walked down the hallway with her head held high. But the Admiral's words stayed with her. They echoed in her mind as she made her plans, as she prepared her ships, as she gathered her soldiers. Some truths are better left unknown in 3 days. She would leave to hunt the Ghost Blade. In 3 days, she would begin a journey that would change everything she knew about herself, about humanity, and about the universe itself. But she did not know that yet. All she knew was that she had to find Tay. She had to understand him. She had to look into his golden eyes and see what was hiding behind them. The legend of the Ghost Blade had spread across the galaxy like fire. Now it was time for Vila to learn if the legend was true. And if it was, she would have to decide what to do with that truth. The stars waited in silence. The war continued to rage. And somewhere in the darkness of space, a human warrior with golden eyes was waiting for her, waiting for the moment when their paths would finally cross. That moment was coming, and when it arrived, nothing would ever be the same again. The fleet moved through space like a silver river. 20 warships, each one carrying 500 soldiers. 10,000 Korra warriors, all hunting for one man. Princess Vila stood on the bridge of her command ship, the Silver Wind. Through the large windows, she could see the other ships following behind her. Their lights blinked in the darkness like stars that had learned to move. 3 weeks had passed since she left the homeworld. 3 weeks of searching. 3 weeks of following every rumor, every story, every small piece of information about the Ghost Blade. And finally, they had found him. "Princess," said Captain Yun, a young officer with sharp eyes and a nervous voice. "Our scouts have confirmed the target." The human called Tay was seen entering the old mining station in the Vega system. He is still there. Vela's heart beat faster, but her face showed nothing. A princess must never show weakness. A princess must always be calm. "How many humans are with him?" she asked. "Our scouts say he is alone, Princess. Just him and his ship." Alone. Of course he was alone. Tay always worked alone. That was part of what made him so dangerous. He had no army to protect, no base to defend. He was like a ghost, appearing and disappearing wherever he wanted. "The mining station," Vela said. "What do we know about it?" Captain Yun pulled up a hologram. It showed a large structure floating in space near a dead planet. The station was old and rusted. Parts of it were broken. It looked like it had been abandoned for many years. "It was a Korra mining station about 40 years ago," the captain explained. "We used it to collect rare metals from the planet below. But the metals ran out, and the station was left behind. Now it is just empty rooms and broken machines." Vila studied the hologram carefully. The station was big. Very big. Hundreds of rooms. Thousands of places to hide. If Tay did not want to be found, it would take days to search every corner. But Vela had a plan. "We will not search for him," she said. "We will make him come to us." The officers on the bridge looked confused. Captain Yun spoke for all of them. "Princess, I do not understand. How will we make him come to us?" Vila smiled. "The human is on that station for a reason. He's not hiding. He is waiting. Probably for a supply ship or a contact. We will destroy his ship and block all exits. Then we will set the station on fire." The officers looked at each other with worry in their eyes. "Set it on fire, Princess?" Captain Yun asked. "But the station is very large. It will take time to burn. Many hours." "Exactly," Vila said. "The human will have 2 choices. He can burn to death, or he can try to escape. If he tries to escape, we will be waiting. He will have to come through us." It was a simple plan. Perhaps too simple. But Vila knew that sometimes simple plans were the best. The Ghost Blade had escaped from complicated traps many times before. He was smart. He could think his way out of most situations, but there was no way to think your way out of fire. Send in the first group, Vila ordered. 50 soldiers. Their job is not to capture him. Their job is to start the fires and get out. Do not try to fight him. Do not try to be heroes. Just start the fires and leave. Captain Yun bowed. Yes, Princess. It will be done. The first group left in small transport ships. Vale watched them fly toward the old station. They looked like insects flying toward a dark mountain. 1 hour passed. Then 2 reports came in from the station. The fires had started. The soldiers had returned safely. No sign of the ghost blade. The temperature inside the station is rising, Captain Yun reported. It is already too hot for humans to survive for long. If he is in there, he will have to move soon. Vila nodded. Position our ships around all the exits. I want every door, every window, every crack covered. Not even a mouse should be able to escape. The fleet moved into position. The ships surrounded the burning station like wolves surrounding a wounded animal. Inside the station, the fires grew bigger and hotter. Smoke poured out of broken windows. Metal walls began to glow red from the heat. Then, finally, something moved. Contact! A soldier shouted. Main exit, north side. One figure. Human size. Vila leaned forward. Show me. The screen changed to show the north exit of the station. A door burst open, and a figure in black armor ran out. He moved fast, faster than any Korra could move. In his hand was a sword that caught the light of the stars. It was him. The ghost blade. Tay. Do not let him reach his ship, Vela ordered. Send in the second group. Surround him. 200 soldiers flew toward the human. Their transport ships landed around him, cutting off his escape. The soldiers jumped out with their weapons ready. Energy guns hummed with power. Blue lights filled the darkness. Tay stopped running. He stood in the middle of the circle of soldiers, alone. His black armor was covered in ash and smoke. His sword hung at his side. He did not move. Surrender, one of the soldiers called out. You are surrounded. There is no escape. For a moment, nothing happened. The soldiers waited. Tay stood still like a statue. Then he moved. Vila had seen the videos. She had studied his fighting style for years, but nothing could prepare her for seeing it in person. Tay did not run away from the soldiers. He ran toward them. His sword came up in a silver arc, and the first soldier fell before he could even fire his weapon. Then the second. Then the third. The Korra soldiers were well trained. They were some of the best fighters in the Empire. But against Tay, they looked like children trying to catch lightning. He moved between them like water, never stopping, never slowing. His sword cut through armor like it was paper. Energy beams flew past him, always missing by just a little. It was like he knew where the shots would go before they were fired. Send in more soldiers, Vela commanded. Her voice was calm, but inside she felt something she had never felt before. Fear? No, not fear. Something else. Something like excitement. More soldiers came. 50 more. Then 100 more. They surrounded Tay from all sides, firing their weapons without stop. The area filled with smoke and light and the sounds of battle. But Tay kept fighting. He kept moving. He kept cutting down soldiers like a farmer cutting wheat. How is this possible? Captain Yun whispered. His face was pale. He's just one man. Vela did not answer. She was watching the screen with wide eyes. She could not look away. After 10 minutes, it was over. More than 100 soldiers lay on the ground. Some were dead. Some were just hurt. But all of them had fallen to one man with a sword. Tay stood in the middle of the bodies, breathing hard. His black armor was scratched and dented. His sword was red with blood, but he was still standing. "Enough," Vela said. She stood up from her chair. "I am going down there myself." "Princess, no." Captain Young grabbed her arm. "It is too dangerous. Let us send more soldiers. We can wear him down." Vela pulled her arm free. "We have already sent 300 soldiers. He is tired now, weak. This is the best chance we will have." She walked toward the door. "Besides, I did not come all this way to watch from a screen. I want to meet him. I want to see his face." The transport ship took her down to the station. Vela brought only 20 soldiers with her. The best 20. Her personal guards, who had trained since childhood to protect the royal family. When she stepped out of the ship, she saw Tay standing 50 meters away. He was leaning on his sword, using it to hold himself up. He was tired, very tired, but his head was up, and he was looking right at her. Vela walked toward him slowly. Her guards followed behind her, their weapons ready, but she held up her hand to stop them. "Stay back," she ordered. "I want to speak with him alone. Princess, that is an order." The guards stopped. Vela continued walking until she was only 10 meters from the human. This close, she could see the damage on his armor. The scratches. The burns. The dents. He had been through hell, but he was still standing. "So you are the Ghostblade," Vela said. Her voice was calm and clear. "The human who has killed thousands of my soldiers. The legend who cannot be caught." Tay said nothing. His helmet still covered his face. "I have studied you for 3 years," Vela continued. "I know everything about you. How you fight. How you think. How you move. But there is one thing I do not know." She took another step forward. "I do not know what you look like. No one does. So I am asking you now, human. Show me your face. Let me see the man behind the legend." Tay was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, he reached up with one hand and touched his helmet. "You want to see my face?" His voice was rough and tired. "Are you sure about that, princess? Some things cannot be unseen." "I am sure," Vela said. "Show me." Tay nodded once. Then he pulled off his helmet. Vela felt the world stop. The face under the helmet was human. Young, maybe 25 years old. He had black hair cut short and skin that was brown from the sun. His jaw was strong and his mouth was set in a hard line. But his eyes were gold. Not blue like normal humans. Gold. Bright, burning gold. The same color as her eyes. And his face. Vala raised her hand to her mouth. She could not breathe. She could not think. Because she was looking at her own face, not exactly the same. His face was more angular, more masculine. He had a scar on his left cheek that she did not have. But the basic shape was identical. The eyes, the nose, the lips, everything. It was like looking into a mirror that showed a different version of herself. "Who are you?" Vela whispered. Her voice was shaking. "What are you?" Tay looked at her with his golden eyes. There was something in those eyes. Pain, sadness, and something else. Something that looked like recognition. "My name is Tay," he said softly. "And I think the prison cell was deep under the palace. No windows. No light except for the soft blue glow of the energy walls. The air was cold and smelled like metal. Tay sat on the floor with his back against the wall. His chains were gone now, but the energy walls were stronger than any chains. If he touched them, they would burn his skin down to the bone. He had been here for 3 days. 3 days of silence. 3 days of waiting. The guards brought him food and water, but they never spoke to him. They just looked at him with fear in their eyes and left as quickly as they could. Word had spread through the palace. Everyone knew about the human with the golden eyes, the human who looked like the princess. Rumors flew from room to room like birds. Some said he was a demon wearing her face. Some said he was a clone created by human scientists. Some said something even stranger. Some said he was her brother. On the fourth day, the door to the prison opened. Vila walked in alone. She wore simple clothes instead of her royal dress. Her silver hair was tied back. Her golden eyes were tired and red, like she had not slept in days. She stood in front of the energy wall and looked at Tay. He looked back at her dot for a long moment. Neither of them spoke. "I have questions," Vila finally said. Her voice was flat and empty. "I know," Tay replied. "I have answers, but you might not like them." Vila pressed a button on the wall. A small opening appeared in the energy field, just big enough for sound to pass through clearly. "Start from the beginning," she said. "Tell me everything." Tay was quiet for a moment. He seemed to be thinking about where to begin. Then he spoke. 26 years ago, there was a human colony on a planet called New Eden. It was a small colony, only about 5,000 people. They were farmers mostly. Simple people living simple lives. He paused. Then the Korra came. Vila's face did not change. She knew this story. Every Korra child learned about the expansion wars. How the Empire had grown by taking planet after planet. How they had brought order to the chaos of the galaxy. The Korra army destroyed the colony in one day. Tay continued. They killed almost everyone. The men, the women, the elderly. But they kept some of the children. The youngest ones. The babies. His golden eyes met hers. They kept us. Vela felt something cold move through her body. "Yes?" "There were 12 babies taken from New Eden," Tay said. "We were brought to a secret laboratory on a Korra ship. Scientists were waiting for us. They had a plan. A terrible plan." He stood up and walked closer to the energy wall. His face was only a meter from hers now. The Korra had been studying humans for years. They knew that humans had certain abilities that Korra did not have. "We are stronger. We heal faster. We can survive things that would kill any other species. But most importantly, we are unpredictable, creative. We can think of solutions that Korra minds cannot imagine." Tay's voice grew harder. The scientists wanted to take those abilities and put them into Korra bodies. They wanted to create the perfect soldiers, perfect leaders, perfect weapons. Vila shook her head. "That is impossible. Human and Korra are completely different species. Our bodies, our blood, everything is different." "Yes," Tay agreed. "That is why most of the experiments failed. 10 of the 12 babies died within the first year. Their bodies rejected the changes. But 2 of us survived." He raised his hand and pointed at Vila. "You and me." The cold feeling in Vila's body grew stronger. It spread through her chest, her arms, her legs. She felt like she was freezing from the inside. "You are lying," she whispered. "I am the daughter of the Emperor. I was born in the royal palace. I have seen pictures of my mother holding me when I was a baby." "Your mother?" Tay said softly. "Did you ever meet her?" Vila opened her mouth to answer. Then she stopped. Her mother had died when Vila was 3 years old. A sudden illness, they said. Vala had no memories of her at all. Vala had no memories of her at all. Had no memory. Only pictures. Only stories. The Emperor's wife could not have children, Tay said. This was a secret that only a few people knew. The scientists saw an opportunity. They took one of the surviving babies, changed her to look like a Korra, and gave her to the royal family. They told the Emperor that she was his own daughter. No. Vila's voice was shaking now. No, This cannot be true. Look at your eyes, Tay said. Gold. No, Korra has gold eyes. They told you it was a blessing from the gods, a sign of your special destiny. But it was just a sign that the experiment did not work completely. Your human eyes could not be changed. Vila touched her face. Her golden eyes. The eyes that had always made her different. The eyes that everyone said were a gift. The eyes that matched Tay's perfectly. You are human, Tay said. You were born human. The blue skin, the silver hair, these are just changes made to your body when you were a baby. But inside, where it matters, you are the same as me. You are the same as every human you have been taught to hate. Tears began to fall from Vila's golden eyes. She did not try to stop them. Who told you this? She asked. How do you know all of this? Because I spent my whole life looking for the truth, Tay answered. I was not given to a royal family. I was kept by the scientists. I was raised in a laboratory, trained to be a weapon. They wanted to use me against the humans. A human who fights for the Korra, the perfect traitor. His hands closed into fists. But one of the scientists felt sorry for me. Her name was Hana. She was old, and she knew she was going to die soon. She told me everything. She told me about New Eden, about the experiments, about you. Tay looked at Vila with something like gentleness in his eyes. She told me I had a sister, a twin sister who was living as a Korra princess. She made me promise to find you, to tell you the truth. And the fighting? Vila asked. The soldiers you killed? The ships you destroyed? Was that part of finding me? Tay's face grew dark. That was revenge. When I escaped from the laboratory, I went back to the humans. I told them everything I knew about Korra military secrets. I became their weapon instead. Every soldier I killed, every ship I destroyed, it was for New Eden, for the families who died, for the children who were taken. He paused. For us, Vela was crying openly now. The tears ran down her blue cheeks and dripped onto the floor. Everything she knew, everything she believed, it was all falling apart like sandcastles in the rain. The scientist, she said through her tears. Hannah, where is she now? Tay's face changed. Something sad and painful moved behind his eyes. She is here, he said quietly. On this planet. She is dying. She has maybe 1 or 2 days left. She wanted to see you before she died, to apologize for what she did to you. Vila wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Take me to her. You would have to let me out of this cell. I will. Tay looked surprised. Just like that? You believe me? Vila looked at him. Her golden eyes met his golden eyes. Brother and sister, seeing each other clearly for the first time. I have always known something was wrong, she said. Something inside me that did not fit. A voice that whispered in the dark. I thought I was broken, different, wrong. But now I understand. I was not wrong. I was just looking in the wrong place for answers. She pressed the button that controlled the energy walls. The blue light disappeared. The cell was open. Take me to Hana, Vila said. I want to hear the truth from her own lips. They left the prison together. Vela told the guards that the prisoner was being moved for questioning. No one argued with the princess. They walked through the dark hallways of the palace, through secret doors that Vela had known about since childhood, until they reached the outside. A small ship was waiting. One of Tay's contacts had left it there, hidden in the shadows. They flew through the night, away from the palace, away from everything Vela had ever known. The flight took 2 hours. They landed on a small moon that orbited the main planet. There was a tiny house there, built into the rock of the moon. Medical machines beeped and hummed inside. Hana was lying on a bed. She was very old, with white hair and wrinkled skin. Her eyes were closed, and her breathing was slow and difficult. But when she heard footsteps, she opened her eyes and smiled. "You came," she whispered. Her voice was weak but warm. "Both of you, together." Vila walked to the bed and looked down at the old woman. This was the person who had changed her life. This was the person who had taken her from her family, changed her body, and given her to strangers. She should have felt angry. She should have wanted revenge. But looking at the dying woman, she only felt sad. "Tell me everything," Vela said. "Tell me who I really am." Hannah reached out and took Vila's hand. Her fingers were cold and thin, like sticks wrapped in paper. "You were beautiful," Hannah said. "Even as a baby. You had these big golden eyes that looked at everything with wonder. When they brought you to the laboratory, I knew you were special. I knew you were meant for something greater than being a weapon." She coughed weakly. "I convinced the others to give you to the royal family. I thought you would be safe there. I thought you would be happy. I thought I was giving you a better life." Tears filled her old eyes. "I was wrong. I should have found a way to send you back to the humans, to your real people. Instead, I made you into something you were never meant to be. A car princess." A lie. Vila squeezed the old woman's hand. "What was my name? My real name?" Hannah smiled through her tears. "Your parents named you Yuna. Your mother was a doctor. Your father was a teacher. They loved you so much." He was standing in the corner of the room, his back against the wall. His crown had fallen off during the fighting. He looked small and old without it. Vila walked toward him slowly. Her sword raised. 1 year had passed since the throne room. 1 year since Vila had left behind everything she knew. 1 year since she had chosen her true family over the lies of the Empire. The galaxy had changed. Vila stood on the bridge of the human flagship. The dawn's hope. Through the windows, she could see hundreds of ships gathered together. Human ships. Ships that had come from every colony, every station, every hidden base in the galaxy. They had come because of her. Because of Tay. Because of the message they had sent across the stars. "The Korra lied to us," Vala had said in that first broadcast. Her face had been shown on every screen, on every planet. Millions of humans had watched. They told you that humans were weak, that we were animals who needed to be controlled. But they were afraid. They have always been afraid, because they know what humans can really do. She had held up her hand. The blue skin had faded over the past weeks, showing the brown human skin underneath. The scientists on the human world had reversed the changes that had been done to her body. Now she looked like what she really was, human. "I am one of you," she had said. "They stole me from my family. They changed my body. They raised me to be their weapon. But they could not change who I am inside. Human blood runs through my veins. Human fire burns in my heart." That broadcast had changed everything. Humans who had given up hope began to fight again. Colonies that had surrendered began to resist. The underground movement that had been dying came back to life. Stronger than before, and Tay, the Ghostblade, had become more than a legend. He had become a symbol of what every human could be. Now, 1 year later, they were ready for the final battle. "Report," Vela said to the officer beside her. His name was Jin, a young human with clever eyes and quick hands. He had been a slave on a Kara mining ship before the revolution freed him. "All ships are in position," Jin said. "The Kara main fleet is 2 hours away. They have 500 warships. We have 300. Numbers do not matter today," Vela said. "Today, we fight for something more than ourselves. We fight for our future." The door to the bridge opened, and Tay walked in. He was wearing his black armor, his sword at his side. His golden eyes were bright with excitement. "The troops are ready," he said. "Every soldier knows the plan. They are not afraid." Vela smiled at her brother. In the past year, They had become close. Not just as soldiers fighting the same war, but as family. Real family. The bond between them was stronger than any weapon. "I never asked you," Vela said. "When you were fighting alone, before we met, were you ever afraid?" Tay was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. "Every day. Every battle. I was afraid I would die without ever finding you. Without ever knowing if my sister was real or just a dream." He smiled. "But now I know. And I am not afraid anymore." Vela reached out and took his hand. "We will win today, together." Together, Tay agreed. The 2 hours passed quickly. The human fleet moved into formation. At the front was the Dawn's Hope, with Vela and Tay on the bridge. Behind it came the other warships, each one filled with humans ready to fight and die for their freedom. Then the Korra fleet appeared on the screens. 500 ships, arranged in perfect lines. They were bigger than the human ships, more powerful, better armed. Any normal army would have run away at the sight of them, but the humans did not run. "Open a channel to all ships," Vela commanded. "I want to speak to everyone." Jin pressed a button. "Channel open, Commander." Vela took a deep breath. Then she spoke. "This is Commander Vela. Some of you know me as the human who was raised as a Korra princess. Some of you know me as the Ghostblade's sister. But today, I am just a human. Like you. Like every person on these ships." She looked out the window at the enemy fleet. "For hundreds of years, the Korra have told us that we are weak, that we are inferior, that we need them to guide us. They took our worlds. They killed our families. They made us believe that we could never win." Her voice grew stronger. "But they were wrong. We are not weak. We are survivors. For millions of years, humans lived on a dangerous planet. We fought against weather, against disease, against hunger. We survived when everything tried to kill us." She raised her fist. "That is what makes us human. We do not give up. We do not accept defeat. We fight until we cannot fight anymore. And then we get up and fight again." On the screens, she could see other ships, other bridges, human faces looking at her with determination in their eyes. "Today, we will show the galaxy what humans really are. Not slaves, not victims, warriors, survivors. The most dangerous species the universe has ever seen." She pointed at the Korra fleet. "They have more ships, more weapons, more soldiers. But we have something they will never understand. We have each other. We have family. And when humans fight for their family, nothing in the galaxy can stop us." The channel was silent for a moment. Then, from every ship, a sound began to rise. It was the sound of humans cheering. Thousands of voices shouting together. The sound filled the darkness of space like a wave crashing against the shore. "All ships," Vala commanded. "Attack!" The battle was the biggest the galaxy had ever seen. 300 human ships against 500 Korra warships. Fire and metal filled the empty space. Ships exploded like flowers blooming in the darkness. The Korra fought the way they always fought. Perfect formations. Perfect timing. Every ship moving together like parts of a machine. But the humans fought differently. They were wild, unpredictable. They did things that made no sense, that broke every rule of war. And because of that, the Korra could not stop them. Tay led a group of small attack ships right into the heart of the Korra fleet. They moved so fast that the big Korra guns could not track them. They cut through the enemy formation like a knife through paper. "Target the command ships," Tay ordered. "Cut off the head, and the body will die." His ships attacked the Korra commanders. One by one, the enemy flagship fell. Without orders, the Korra soldiers did not know what to do. Their perfect formation began to break apart. On the Dawn's Hope, Vela directed the main battle. She watched the screens and gave orders, moving her ships like pieces on a game board. But this was no game. This was real. People were dying with every second that passed. "Commander," Jin shouted. "3 Korra warships are heading right for us. They are going to ram." Vela looked at the screen. 3 huge ships were coming straight toward them. They were not trying to shoot. They were trying to crash. "All power to the engines," Vela ordered. "Get us out of here." "There is no time, Commander. They are too close." Vela closed her eyes. This was it. This was how it ended. Then a voice came over the radio. "Commander Vela, this is Admiral Kang. Stay where you are." Vela opened her eyes in surprise. "Admiral? What are you doing here?" "Paying back an old debt," the Admiral said. "I should have done this a long time ago." On the screen, she saw a single ship moving toward the 3 Korra warships. It was a Korra ship, but it was flying the human flag. Admiral Kang had come to help. He had brought his loyal soldiers with him. They had stolen a Korra warship and crossed the battle lines to join the fight. "Get out of there, Admiral," Vela shouted. "You cannot stop 3 ships by yourself." "I am not trying to stop them, Princess," the Admiral said. His voice was calm and peaceful. "I'm trying to give you time." His ship flew directly into the path of the 3 Korra warships. There was a bright flash of light. Then another. Then another. When the light faded, all 4 ships were gone. Admiral Kang had destroyed himself to take them out. Vela felt tears running down her face. But there was no time to cry. The battle was still going. "All ships, focus fire on the main Korra fleet," she ordered. Her voice was hard as stone. "Make Admiral Kang's sacrifice mean something." The battle continued for another 4 hours. Ships fell on both sides. Thousands of lives ended in fire and darkness. But slowly, the tide began to turn. The humans were winning. When the last Korra warship finally surrendered, the remaining human ships gathered together. There were only 150 left. Half of the fleet was gone. But they had one. Vela stood on the bridge, looking out at the wreckage. Pieces of broken ships floated in the darkness. The bodies of soldiers, both human and Korra, drifted among them. War was not beautiful. It was not glorious. It was just death and pain and loss. But sometimes, war was necessary. Tay's ship docked with the Dawn's Hope, and he came to the bridge. His armor was scratched and dented. Blood dripped from a cut on his face. But he was smiling. "We did it," he said. "We actually did it." Vela nodded slowly. "We did, but at what cost?" She looked at the empty space where Admiral Kang's ship had been. "He saved my life," she said. "He gave everything for a human princess he had only known for a few years." "Why would he do that?" Tay put his hand on her shoulder. "Because he saw what you really are. Not Korra, not human. Just a person trying to do the right thing. That is worth dying for." Vela wiped her eyes. Then she turned to face the bridge crew. "Send a message to all human worlds," she commanded. "Tell them the war is over. Tell them they are free." Jin pressed the buttons with shaking hands. "Message sent, Commander." Across the galaxy, humans heard the news. In colonies and stations, in ships and hidden bases, people cried with joy. Families held each other. Stranger. The palace was quiet when Vela returned. Too quiet. The servants looked away when she walked past them. The guards stood straighter than usual. Something was wrong. She had left Tay hiding on the small moon with Hana's body. They had agreed that she would return alone to gather information and supplies before they made their next move. But now, walking through the empty hallways, Vela knew that something had changed. "Princess." A voice spoke from behind her. Vela turned around. Admiral Kang was standing in the shadows. His face looked old and tired. There were dark circles under his eyes. "Admiral," Vela said, "what is happening? Where is everyone?" Admiral Kang looked around nervously. Then he stepped closer and spoke in a low voice. "The Emperor knows, Princess. He knows about the human, about your visit to the prison, about everything." Vela felt her heart stop for a moment. Then it started again, beating faster than before. "How?" "There are spies everywhere," the Admiral said. "Eyes and ears in every corner of the palace. The Emperor has been watching you for years. He knew this day would come." Vela tried to keep her face calm. "What does he want?" "He wants to see you. In the throne room. Now." The Admiral paused. "He has called all the high commanders. All the noble families. Everyone important in the Empire is there. This was bad. Very bad." A public meeting meant that the Emperor wanted to make an example. He wanted everyone to see what happened to people who betrayed him, even if that person was his own daughter. "Thank you, Admiral," Vela said, "for warning me." Admiral Kang grabbed her arm. "Princess, you do not have to go. I can help you escape. I have a ship ready. You could be gone before anyone knows." Vela looked at the old warrior. He had served her family for 50 years. He had taught her how to fight when she was a child. He was one of the few people in the palace who had ever shown her real kindness. "Why would you help me?" she asked. "You have always been loyal to the Emperor." The Admiral was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke slowly. "I was there, Princess. 26 years ago. I was a young captain on the ship that attacked New Eden." His voice was full of pain. "I saw what we did to those people. I saw the children we took. I have lived with that shame every day since." He looked into her golden eyes. "I knew what you were from the first moment I saw you. A human child in Coruscant. I kept your secret because I hoped you could change things. I hoped you could be different from the others." Vela felt tears forming in her eyes, but she pushed them down. There was no time for tears now. "I have to go to the throne room," she said. "If I run, he will hunt me forever. He will destroy everything I care about. But if you face him, he might kill you. He might." Vela smiled sadly. "But at least I will die standing up, not running away." She squeezed the Admiral's hand. "Thank you, old friend, for everything." Then she walked away toward the throne room, toward her fate. The throne room was the largest room in the palace. High ceilings stretched up into darkness. Huge windows showed the stars outside. Hundreds of people stood in rows along the walls. Nobles in fancy clothes, generals in military uniforms, priests in religious robes. All the powerful people of the Korra Empire gathered in one place. At the far end of the room, on a raised platform, sat the Emperor. He was old, but still strong. His purple eyes were sharp and cruel. His silver hair hung down to his shoulders. He wore the golden crown of the Korra Empire, a circle of metal covered in jewels. Vela walked down the center of the room. Every eye was on her. Every person was watching. Silence filled the air like a heavy blanket. She stopped in front of the throne and bowed her head. "You called for me, Father." The Emperor looked at her for a long moment. Then he spoke in a voice that filled the entire room. "I have raised you since you were a baby. I gave you everything. The best teachers, the best clothes, the best food. I made you a princess of the greatest empire in the galaxy." His eyes grew colder. "And how do you repay me?" "You help my enemy escape from prison. You meet with humans who want to destroy our way of life. You betray everything I have given you." Vela kept her head bowed. "I only wanted to learn the truth, Father. The truth." The Emperor laughed. It was not a happy laugh. "The truth is that I should have killed you when you were a baby. The scientists said you were useful. They said you could help the Empire, but I always knew you were dangerous. A human pretending to be Korra, a snake in my own house." He stood up from his throne. But I was patient. I waited. I watched. And now my patience has paid off. Now you have shown everyone who you really are. He raised his hand and pointed at her. "Guards, arrest the traitor." Soldiers moved toward Viola from all sides. But before they could reach her, a voice spoke from the crowd. "Wait." Everyone turned to look. Admiral Kang was walking forward, his hand on his sword. "Before you arrest the princess, Your Majesty, perhaps we should hear her side of the story. Perhaps there is an explanation." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Are you defending the traitor, Admiral?" "I am asking for justice, Your Majesty. The princess has served this empire faithfully for many years. She deserves a chance to speak." For a moment, the room was completely silent. The Emperor stared at the Admiral. The Admiral stared back. Then the Emperor smiled. It was an evil smile. "Very well. Let the traitor speak. Let her explain why she helped the human escape. Let her explain why she's working with our enemies." All eyes turned to Viola. This was her chance. Her only chance. She raised her head and looked at the crowd. All these people who had known her for years, who had called her princess, who had bowed when she walked past. None of them really knew her. None of them knew the truth. "You want an explanation?" Viola said. Her voice was clear and strong. "I will give you one. But first, let me ask a question. Have any of you ever wondered why my eyes are gold instead of purple? Why I am different from every other Korra?" Whispers moved through the crowd. People looked at each other nervously. "The priests say it is a blessing from the gods," Vela continued. "But the truth is much simpler, much darker." She turned to face the Emperor. "I am not Korra. I never was. I am human. A human child who was stolen from her family, changed in a laboratory, and given to you as a gift." The crowd exploded in noise. People shouted. People cried out. Some people tried to move toward the doors. Guards held them back. The Emperor raised his hand and silence returned. "This is insane," he said. "The traitor has lost her mind. Have I?" Vela reached up to her neck. There was a small device there, hidden under her collar. A medical scanner that Hana had given her years ago. She pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the air above her head. It showed 2 columns of symbols and numbers. Medical data. Genetic codes. "This is my genetic code," Vela said, pointing to one column. "And this is the genetic code of a normal Korra." She pointed to the other column. "As you can see, they are completely different. I am not Korra. The evidence is right here." More noise from the crowd. More chaos. People pushed and shoved, trying to get a better look at the hologram. "Enough!" The Emperor's voice was like thunder. "I do not care about genetic codes. I do not care about evidence. You are a traitor, and you will be punished." He looked at the guards. "Kill her." The guards raised their weapons. Energy hummed in the air. But before they could fire, Admiral Kang stepped in front of Vela. His sword was out, gleaming in the light. "I will not let you murder an innocent woman," he said. "Not again." More soldiers moved to stand beside him. 5, 10, 20. Soldiers who had served under Kang for years. Soldiers who trusted him more than they trusted the Emperor. The room was splitting in two. Guards on one side, loyal to the Emperor. Soldiers on the other side, protecting Vela. "This is treason," the Emperor hissed. "All of you, traitors." "No," Admiral Kang said. "This is justice. Something that has been missing from this empire for far too long." The tension in the room was like a string pulled too tight. One wrong move, and everything would snap. Then a new voice spoke. A voice that came from the windows. "Sorry, I am late." Everyone turned to look. One of the large windows had been broken open. A figure in black armor was standing on the frame. His sword in his hand. Tay had arrived. He jumped down into the room, landing softly on his feet. Guards rushed toward him, but he moved through them like they were not there. His blade flashed silver and red. Soldiers fell. "Tay," Vila called out. "I told you to stay hidden." "I could not let you face this alone," Tay said. He cut down another guard and moved to stand beside her. "We are family. We fight together." The Emperor was backing away toward a door behind the throne. His face was pale. For the first time in his life, he looked afraid. "Kill them," he screamed. "Kill them both." More guards rushed forward. But now Vela had a weapon too. She picked up a sword from a fallen soldier and stood beside her brother. The fight was brutal and fast. Guards came from all sides. Tay and Vila moved together like two parts of one machine. Where he attacked high, she defended low. Where she pushed forward, he watched her back. Admiral Kang and his loyal soldiers fought beside them. The throne room became a battlefield. Blood splashed on the marble floor. Bodies fell and did not get up. Finally, there were no more guards left standing. The nobles and priests had run away long ago. Only Vela, Tay, Admiral Kang, and a few soldiers remained, and the Emperor.